Hello friends, this is the second part of our JavaScript tutorial. In the very first part, what we saw is we created a basic website using JavaScript and we deployed it onto IIS. So I'll just briefly run you through the slides. We saw what is JavaScript, why we wanted to learn JavaScript, because 98.7% websites use JavaScript on the front end in some form or the other. Then what is the difference between JavaScript, ECMAScript and TypeScript? Then we saw what kind of a language it is. So it's a high-level language, scripting language, interpreted, just-in-time compiled, conforms to ECMAScript standards, and it's dynamically typed. That means the variables change their data type based on the value which is assigned to them. We will see some of this part in today's lecture as well. Then we created a basic website and we deployed it onto IIS and we tried accessing it using my mobile phone. Okay, this is what we saw in the last lecture. In this lecture, that is part 2 of JavaScript, we are going to see what are variables, what is lexical scoping, and what are closures. Lexical scoping and closures is kind of an advanced topic, but if you have around 5 years experience or more, then definitely they will ask you about lexical scoping and closures. So be prepared for that answer. Variables is also a big topic because I'm trying to cover it in a great amount of detail so that you don't get confused. Why is this important? Because in many companies, they take a written test or they ask you to, like W3 schools also has certain tests, right? Similar kind of tests are also conducted during your interview. And during that test, most of the questions are on this topic only, variables. So how will you convert a string into a number? Is it possible or not? What is not a number? That kind of corner scenarios are usually focused upon in an interview. And that is why all these three topics are extremely important. So this lecture is very important. Don't skip it. Variable types. There are two types of values in JavaScript. First value type is literals, that is fixed values. And second value type is dynamic values, that is variables. Okay, so literals and variables, these are two value types in JavaScript. What is a literal? Literal means the data which you will assign to the variable, that is called as literal. Okay, that is fixed value. So here it means the value assigned to a variable. Then type of the literal, whatever value you assign to the variable, type of that value determines the type of the variable. And that is why variables are dynamically typed in JavaScript. Okay, variables are primitive variables or reference variables. Primitive means value type variables. The reference type variables means the arrays, functions, objects. These are reference types. Okay, so let us see. Primitive types contain string, number, not a number, boolean, or it can also be undefined or null. Reference types can be object, array, or function. Okay, now variable names. How will you name a variable? Your variable name can contain alphabets, numbers, underscore, or dollar sign. Okay, nothing other than this. Hyphen is not allowed. Okay, it can start with a number. That means it cannot have number at the beginning. You can have number later on, like you can have a variable name like Amit1, that is okay, but one Amit is not allowed. But having said that, you can always have dollar or underscore even at the beginning. There is no problem at all. This rule that it should not start with, this rule is only for numbers. It's not for the dollar sign or for the underscore. Then it cannot be a keyword, of course. It cannot have hyphens. So if you try to create a variable by such a name, then it will always give an exception over here. It will give an error that's this is not a valid variable name. And then they are case sensitive. So here a person like me would try to find a loophole and he'll try to play with the rules. They say that you cannot use a keyword, but it is case sensitive. So JavaScript is a case sensitive language. So what is a keyword? Keyword is just where is a keyword, let is a keyword, const is a keyword, function is a keyword, but in lower cases they are keywords. If I caps lock, if I all caps it, then it is not the keyword, it is a different name. And so I cannot use so I can use these different names. So I can create variables by the names of var, let, const, function, as long as I use some different casing. Okay, and this is what I tried to demonstrate over here. Now see, if I create a variable and assign 200 to it, then notice that whatever is 200, 200 is a literal, its type is number, and that's why variable a will get the value will get the data type number. Okay, it gets the data type of whatever value is assigned to it. Okay, so the value assigned to it is a number, and that is why the variable becomes a number. So now if I say what is the type of it, so it is number. Here I have re-declared it. Even if you don't do it, then also it is okay. But okay, that's not a big deal. I will tell you that you can fill different values in the same variable, and its type will keep on changing. So that thing we will see while we will discuss dynamic typing of variables. But as of now, consider that this is a variable. Here I have assigned some value. So what is the type of that variable? It's a number. If I assign a float value, then also the type is number. If I assign a literal having one alphabet, then also it is a string, and a series of alphabets, then also it is a string. Uh, so here, basically, even if you say one letter, then also it's considered to be a string. There is nothing called as character. In C++ or C sharp, Java, you have character, right? That is also a data type. But here in JavaScript, you don't have character. You just have a string. Then if it is true or false, then it is boolean. So these are very primitive data types, as you can see. Now reference data types. If you assign something in curly braces, then this is called as an object. Okay, so this is an object. Then if you assign an array like this, then also the data type is object, it is not an array, because in JavaScript arrays are nothing but objects. Okay, so always remember this, in JavaScript arrays are nothing but objects. Then if you see function, then what is the type of function? It is function. So these are three reference types. One is object, another is again array is also an object, and then function. Okay, so these are the data. So maybe this slide is not completely right. So when I say that dynamic types are of these three types, object, array, and function, that is not very true, because array is nothing but object in JavaScript. So there are only two reference types in JavaScript: object and function. Okay, let's go ahead. Variable names we have covered, type of operator we have covered. Now JavaScript supports dynamic typing. Now let us see what happens when you assign different values of different data types to the same variable. So means JavaScript variables are dynamic, means their type changes as per the value assigned to them. Okay, so let us say that I have created one variable a is equal to 1. So the data type of this literal 1 is number, and that is why data type of this variable a is also a number. Okay, now I haven't initialized it again, I have just assigned another string value to it. And notice that this string value is of data type string, right? So the variable also gets the data type of the value assigned to it. That means it is now a string. If you assign a boolean, then it becomes a boolean. If you assign an object, it becomes an object. If you assign an array, it becomes an array, but array is also of data type object, and that's why you'll always see type of any array is always object, not array. Okay, so when you assign any value to any variable, then that variable changes its own data type as per the data type of the value assigned to it. Got the idea? This is called as dynamic typing in JavaScript. This can be an interview question, so please be prepared for it. Then, yeah, this is again an interview question. What is the difference between undefined and null? So undefined means a variable is not defined only. I have only declared it. I haven't defined it. I haven't assigned any value to it. See, declaring a variable means saying let a. This is declaring. Or var a or char a, that is declaring. And initialization means you assign some value to it. Means you say a is equal to 1. Okay, that is assignment or initialization. Okay, so if you don't assign or initialize a variable, if you only declare it, then its data type by default is undefined. It is not null. Then when does it become null? For making it null, you have to explicitly say that a is equal to null. This is where the user is saying that it does not hold any value, it is null. This is what user has to say. Okay, then even if you assign an empty object, then also it is not null, it is object. The object is empty, that's okay, but the value assigned to it is an object, and that's why the data type of a is also object. Here also empty array, this is not null, this is an empty array. So this is an empty array. If you assign it to a, then its data type is also an object, because arrays are objects in JavaScript. Got the idea? And this one we left console.log of b. So b is not declared itself, and that is why it will give you an error that b is not defined. Definition means declaration. Okay, and initialization means giving some value to it. Okay, now let's go next. What are the various operators? This is a very basic slide, let's not spend too much time. These are the arithmetic operators, these are conditional operators, assignment operators, special operator. Oh, there's only one special operator, and that is typeof. And only one of these operators is overloaded. What is operator overloading? That means depending upon the argument type or the number of arguments, the operator will behave in different ways. That is called as operator overloading. So it is possible only with one operator, and that is this plus operator. Okay, now let us see how plus operator is overloaded, or this is also called as the arithmetic in JavaScript. So let us say that I say let a is equal to 2 plus Amit. Now see, I am assigning two different literals to a. Okay, so basically I am assigning the value of this expression to a. Okay, now this expression consists of two literals. One is a number and another is a string. So this plus operator, what it does is it converts this into a string, and then it concatenates, means joins the two strings. String concatenation means joining the two strings. So it first converts this into a string and then joins it with this string, and thereby the value which finally gets assigned to this variable a is 2 Amit. Okay, now let us see over here. Here this is a googly question. Many people will say that it should return Amit 5. Why? Because you feel numbers will first get added and they'll get joined with a string. No, that is not the case. That's why I have mentioned here that execution is always from left to right. See, in an interview, oftentimes you are asked MCQs, and in these MCQs, this kind of googly questions are there. So always remember, BODMAS rule is never applied in JavaScript expressions, and JavaScript expressions always get resolved from left to right. Okay, so here from left to right, what do you see? Amit and 2. So what will happen? 2 will get converted into a string, and both the strings will be concatenated. So you will get Amit 2. Then this Amit 2 will be added to 3. So it will become Amit 2 3. Got the idea? This is how it is done. And then here, of course, 2 and 3 is 5, and 5 will get concatenated, means 5 will be converted into string and both will be concatenated. So it is 5 Amit. Got the idea? Then how to pass string to a number. So up till here we saw how a number was getting converted into a string, right? Now how to convert a string into a number. So let us say that there is a pi variable and it has 3.14 value. If you log the type of this pi, it is a string. Why? Because it is given in quotes. Whether it is given in single quotes or double quotes, it doesn't matter, but it should be given in quotes. Then it becomes a string. So this literal, which is passed to this variable, is actually a string. Now I want to convert this string into an actual number. How do I do that? There are simple ways and there are pro ways, and there are some very weird ways or different ways which most of you might not be aware of. So this example I will have to show you with a practical example. Okay, I cannot show it to you on the slide, or I mean it will be difficult for you to understand. That's why let's jump to our Visual Studio. So here let us create this, just a folder that I have opened. So the way to open it is just file and open a folder. Select any folder. I think okay, let us go to let us create one folder, and let us call it variables demo. Okay, and I'm opening this folder. So in this folder there is no file, so let us create one file called as index.html. you can give any name, but as a practice normally I give the name as index. You can always retract it. Here just say exclamation mark and enter, so it will create the HTML code. Okay, now notice this HTML code. Here there is title. This meta tabs are actually not required for this demonstration, so I'm deleting them. Title also I basically don't want in this particular thing. Head also I don't want. Basically I just need body. Okay, and in this body what I'm going to do is, let us create a button, and let's call it execute button, so it will have the text execute. And now let us see this in the browser. So the way to see it is just right click and then go to open with live server. So it will automatically open it in whatever is your default browser. So my default browser is Google Chrome, so it's showing up over here. Now we will see them side by side. Okay, this is execute button. I'll also open the developer tools. So the way to open it is, go over here in the vertical kebab menu and scroll down. Here you will see more tools, and then you'll see developer tools. Alternatively, there's a shortcut given, Control Shift I, and the shortcut that basically I like is just click here, anywhere here, and just press F12 button. It's easier. It's the easiest shortcut, F12, that opens developer tools, and it opens developer tools in every browser. Even if we were into IE, then also F12 would have opened IE's developer tool. Okay, Firefox also does it on F12 only. Okay, now this thing, just forget about it. So if you want to clear the console, just click this button. See, if I'm clicking here, nothing is happening. Why? Because there is no event handler attached to it. So let us attach an event handler. If I say on click, then I'll say, let us say in console.log execute method is called. Okay, see, when I click it, execute called is getting printed. Okay, this much is very clear. There should not be any doubt till here. Now what I'm doing is, this part I'm putting it in a function. Okay, and let's call that function as execute function. So for writing a function, I'll create a script. Where will I create it? At the end of the body. Here scripts are always added at the end of the body. Then here I can say execute, but what is it? It's a function. So it's a function by the name execute, and here I will put the same code. Okay, I will save it, and Prettier will automatically reformat it. Okay, and here I'll say on click of it, you should just call this function execute. Okay, so now also I'm getting the correct value. Okay, when I click on it, then it is working as expected. Now let us go to our slideshow. Here what should I do? I should create a pi constant. Okay, let me just create a constant. pi is equal to, in string I'll give 3.14. Now now what do I do? I'll console the type of this. Okay, so let us see what is the type of this thing. So console dot log type of pi. So let us see. Yeah, it is string as expected. Okay, so it is string. That is what I've shown here as well. Now simple ways to convert it is you can just convert it into a number like this. Okay, so I will do one thing. Let me say let number pi, let's call it as number pi. Okay, is equal to number into bracket pi. Okay, now I'll console out two things. I'll say console.log number pi, and I'll say console.log type of number pi. Okay, so see, number pi is actually a number 3.14, and its data type is also number. Okay, so this is how you convert a string into a number. Another way of converting it is given in the slideshow, parse integer. Okay, so what I'll do is here I'll just write parse integer. Okay, now let us see it will parse the string into an integer. So this will become 3. It won't be 3.14 because it will be an integer, right? So let us see that execute. Okay, it will be converted into a number, and its data type is of course number. Now instead of parse integer, if I say parse float, then what will I get? I'll get the entire 3.14. so float. Okay, see here I get 3.14 and the data type is again number. So integer and float, both the values have the data type number. There is only one data type for integer values as well as float values in JavaScript, and that is number. Okay, now this was a simple way of conversion, okay, which normally everyone does. Everyone follows parse integer or parse float. Okay, or somebody might even use number. These are very simple ways. Now there are some pro ways. If you know JavaScript really well, then you will use these ways. So one of the pro ways is saying plus. So just use a plus operator before before this thing. So let us check. I'll not say parse float. What I'll say is I'll just say plus pi. That is my number pi. Now see, let's execute. See, it becomes 3.14 and it also gives the type as number. So it automatically converts it into a floating point value. Okay, it automatically converts it to float just by using the plus operator. Okay, this is simple, very simple. Okay, so again, this is again operator overloading. So if the plus operator has only second argument, and that is basically a number, that is basically a string, then it converts it into a number. So this is how much overloaded this plus operator is in JavaScript. Now that was a pro way. Okay, I bet most of you might not be aware of this way. Okay, now these ways are even more unique. Now just like I said plus operator, can't you multiply it by 1? Of course I can do that. So the way to do it is you can say okay, pi multiplied by 1, then also it gets converted into a number. Otherwise you can say divide by 1, it will lead to the same number, right? So I'll say divide by 1. Okay, still you're getting the same number. Then you can say minus 0. If you subtract 0 from a number, nothing happens, right? So if I say minus 0, I'll once again get the same number. If I say minus 1, then you'll get 2.14. Okay, getting the idea, right? So this is the beauty of it, see, if this were plus, then it will only say 3.141. Why? Because it will add the number to the string. Okay, we saw that, right? But minus operator is not overloaded, so it expects both the arguments to be numbers. Okay, and that's the reason why this pi is converted into a number first, and then that minus operator operates on it. Okay, and that's the reason why -1 works like this, and if you do +1 over here, then it will convert the number into string rather. Okay, so this is the difference. Then which is the next way to convert? It is a tilde. Now what is tilde? I'll tell you what tilde does. This is very interesting. I love this kind of topics. See, when you say tilde pi, and pi is basically a string which is actually also a number, so what happens? So it basically gives you an integer, okay, which is greater than this number, and which is also having a negative sign also. Okay, so this is what tilde does. Now I want 3.14, so what I'll do, I'll add one more tilde to it. So double tilde basically gives me 3. Okay, this is how it works. It's a little complicated, I also know. This tilde operator, I also find it very complicated, but this is also a unique way of converting your string into a number. So whenever you use double tilde, it will always give the integer value, it won't give you the float value. Okay, so this is one. Then mat.floor, mat.ceiling, mat.round, this you must be aware. So what it is like this. See, if I say math dot round, what it does is it converts pi, which is a string, into a number, and then it will round out its value to the nearest integer. So here the nearest integer is 3. From 4 it is far away. Okay, but if I make it 3.9, then 4 is closer and 3 is far away, right? So it will get close, or it will be rounded up to 4. So here you'll get 4. Okay, data table is of course number. So round will always give you an integer which is the closest integer. Okay, now you will ask me, intelligent people amongst you will ask me, that what happens when they are equidistant? So always remember, the greater number is always preferred. So here you will get 4, you won't get 3. Okay, so that is about round. If you don't want to round it out, then you can say floor. Floor will always give you the lesser number, lesser integer. So it will always give you 3. And if you say ceiling, then it will always give you the higher number. So here, even if it is 3.14, so which is very close to 3 and very far away from 4, then also when I say ceiling, it will get you the higher, the nearest higher integer. So it will give you 4, it won't give you 3. Okay, so these were some interesting ways of parsing strings into numbers. Let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this slide. This was the most entertaining slide for me. So till ECMAScript 5, where was the only keyword used to declare variables. Okay, and it always had global scope. Now what is scope? We will see that later. In ECMAScript 6, let and const were also declared. Okay, means you can have declare a variable using let keyword as well as const keyword also. Okay, and they both of them have block scope. And as the name suggests, if you use const, then you cannot change its value later. Okay, and it has to be declared at the time of, it has to be initialized at the time of declaration. Okay, so see, now what is a block scope? See, if you say variable a equal to 1, then its value over here is 1. Okay, then you create a block. This is called as a block. Any curly braces is called as a block. It can be the curly braces of a function, it can be curly braces of a conditional statement, it can be curly braces of anything. It is still a block. Now here if you see, a's value within the block has been changed, or a variable is redeclared here, and a's value is made as 2. So here if you console out it is 2. But notice that here outside that block also, if you want to console it out, it will still become 2. Okay, so why is this the case? Because A is globally declared. Its scope is global. So if you change it anywhere, even in inside scope also, if you change it, even in the block scope also, if you change it, then also the global value only changes, because this var keyword basically just creates global values. Okay, var keyword always creates global values. So there's only one variable, and that too at the global level. No matter how many times you declare it, it is still updating the main variable only, which is in the global scope. Okay, that's why you see like this. But now let us say that you are using let keyword. So now what happens? Now here the value is 1, here the value is 2, but here outside it is still 1. So let basically has basically what let does is, see, there is a global scope. On top of this, wherever the scope changes, wherever a block comes, and if you declare anything using let inside that block, then there is one more context put on it. One is global context, here one more block context is put, and this is that block context, this is that block scope. So that variable lives only within that scope. If you come out of that scope, if you get back to the global scope, then you are into global scope, you don't have an access to that inner scope. Okay, this exactly is called as lexical scoping. I'll tell you that also. See, now how about const? So even in the case of const, you have block scope only. So here if you try to have const a equal to 2, then it will allow you to have it. Otherwise, normally if I say, see, wait a minute, const is very tricky, huh? If I say const pi, okay, and now if I once again say const pi is equal to, okay, anything, means if I say 0.5, then it won't allow me. Why? Because it will say that you cannot redeclare block scoped variable pi. What is block scope? This is the block scope. So what it is saying is, forget about block scope, what it is saying is a const variable cannot be redeclared. You cannot redeclare it. Okay, another problem with const variables is that you cannot say const pi and then you cannot say ki, oh, this pi is equal to 3.14. This is also not allowed. Why? Because it will throw an exception. It will say that const declarations must be initialized. Okay, so you have to initialize it as soon as you declare it. Okay, this is how a const variable is. This is fine. Okay, but see, means you cannot say, again, you cannot say pi const pi equal to let us say 0.5. You cannot say that, right? But if you put this into a block, then it is possible. Why? Because this block is going to have its own scope, and within the scope you can declare pi once again. This will be a different pi. Okay, there is a global context, there is one pi, this pi 3.14. On top of it, as soon as you create this block, on top of it one more context gets created, and inside that you can create another variable just like pi, right? Now as long as you are within this scope, whenever you console this out, you're going to get uh, 0.5. Okay, and as soon as you get out of that block scope, if you get out of this block, and then if you console it out, then you will get this pi. Why? Because now you are in the global context. Okay, so let us try this out. I am saying exactly the same thing here, but here I'll get 3.14. Okay, let's try this out. Execute. See, first time I got 0.5, next time I got 3.15. So this is interesting. This is called as lexical scoping. Now what is lexical scoping? We'll see in the next slide. Why should I say that here itself? Oh, first of all, variable hosting also. Okay, I'll let you know later. Where did I discuss the lexical scoping? Yeah, let's get to the lexical scoping now. See, I'll explain using this example only. What lexical scoping says is, here, if this const was not declared only, then the value will be 3.14. Okay, here you will get 3.14. Let us see. Yes, you are getting 3.1. That means within a block, you can access the variables which are defined outside the block. Okay, from inside, you can go outside. That is very easily possible. Try to remember it like this, that this outside the block is like a parent to the inside block, right? So this outside block is like parent and this is like child block, right? So children can always ask their parents for money or for anything, right? They often ask for favors to their parents. That is possible. But imagine a parent asking for favor to a small child. It won't work in a normal scenario, right? The child will say, "How can I help?" You are the one who are the provider, right? So remember it by that logic. So now let us say, instead of commenting this line, I comment this line. So pi is not declared here. Pi is declared inside the block. Now can I access it over here? So it won't be accessed. Okay. So here you will get an error. Let us see. See, it gives you an error. See, over here it gave you 0.5. This is fine. But over here it gave you an exception. Where did the exception come? So always, you can always click over here and you'll get to that line where the exception lies, and see the exception lies over here. So that is why I've given the error. What is the error? That also, if you want to see pi is not defined. That means in the global scope, I don't have any definition for pi. Pi was defined within this block scope. It got defined and it ended also. It died also after this block was completed. So as soon as the execution comes out of the block, all the variables declared in that block die. Now pi doesn't exist. Now if you try to find out pi, you won't get it. But if I said var over here instead of const, then var variables get defined at the global level. So this var will be available everywhere, even in the global context. So here you will be able to see, you will get the value, you won't get the error here. Okay, why? Because I used var. But if I use let or const, then they have block scope. Okay, so they will die as soon as they come out of the block. So here you will get an error. Got the idea? Okay. Now what is lexical scoping? Lexical scoping means children can use things from the parents, but parents cannot use things from children. This is lexical scoping. Means variables defined in the global scope are accessible within the block scope, but variables defined in block scope are not accessible in the global scope. Okay, this is called as lexical scoping. Now let us go through the slides. I don't want to miss out any topic. Let's go to lexical scoping only directly. See, it is a convention used by many modern programming languages. It means that a variable defined within a block will be used only within that block. But a variable defined outside the block is accessible outside as well as inside the block. It works only with let keyword, which was defined in ECMAScript 6. Scope of a variable means the area where it is accessible. By the way, this is also wrong. Here let and const should be there. I'm so sorry, I'm correcting things on the fly. See, this is not, I'm not a full-time YouTuber, I have my work as well, so please pardon me. This is what I do during the weekends, so I also don't get so much time. So it works only with what am I doing? Let and const keywords. Yeah, let and const keywords, but it doesn't work with var keyword. Okay, scope of a variable means the area where it is accessible. Okay, so scope of a variable means here pi variable. So what is the scope of this pi variable? Scope of variable means this, means where it is accessible. Okay, since it is a let variable, its scope is only this much. Had it been a var variable, its scope was global scope. Okay, if it is var, then its scope is global. Okay, if it is const or let, its scope is block scope. Okay, the scope of a variable is determined by the program's textual structure, means lexical structure. Lexical structure means textual structure. So how you write means where do you define that variable, that determines its scope. Here this is defined within the block, and that is why and it is defined using this keyword. These are the two things, where it is defined and which keyword was used. That is the textual structure of your code, and that determines what is the scope of that variable. Okay. Okay, so now what are closures? Closures is an interesting topic, but we skipped two important slides, so I'll just go through them. Yeah, I've mentioned this, right? Now variable hosting, sorry, hoisting. It's not hosting, it's hoisting. Hoisting means you hoist a flag, right? So you escalate it till the top, right? That is hoisting. So hoisting is done only in the case of where keywords. Okay, so remember this. I'll explain you later. So variables declared are hoisted, means moved to the top, but it happens only for where keyword. It does not happen in the case of let and const keyword. Okay, so you can use a variable before declaring it, but it works only with where. It doesn't work with a let or const. Okay, for example, let us say that I'm using pi over here. I'm calling this inner function directly, and it has a pi value. Yeah, I can call that value and you will get undefined over here, but it won't throw an error. It won't say that, okay, you did not declare it, how can you use a variable before declaration? No, because declarations means variable pi, this line, only variable pi, not equal to 3.14, only variable pi, this line always gets hoisted to the top of the uh, JavaScript file. Okay, always this happens. So declarations are hoisted, but definitions, or sorry, what is it called, initialization, means assigning value, that is not hoisted. Assignments are not hoisted. Only declaration or definition, declaration is also called as definition, so only declaration part, means where pi, this gets hoisted. So but if you use let keyword over here, then what will happen? It will throw an exception. It will say that cannot access pi before initialization. It say, oh, please initialize it. You cannot use it before initialization. Okay, so you assign some value to it, then only you'll be able to use it, right? So that, sorry, you so first say at least what is pi, you initialize it, you declare it actually, and then only you'll be able to use it. Okay, although here it says initialization, what it basically means is you did not declare it, you did not define it. But I don't know why it gives the word, this word is actually wrong. It should be before definition or declaration, it should be, but I don't know. This is the live error that I also got, that's why I pasted that only. Similarly, if it is const, then obviously it will still once again say that, how can you use pi if it is not even declared? So const and pi, these declarations are not hoisted. Only where declarations get hoisted. Let us see this in the practical example also. Okay. So here suppose, let us see this like this. Okay. Let us say that I am saying console out A, and after that I'm saying that basically where A is equal to um, let us say 2. Okay, so it is okay, it gives you undefined. It says that, see, there's undefined. Why? Because uh, uh, while executing the script tag itself, what it does is, whatever variable declarations are, what it does is it just hoists it at the top. This is what it actually does. This is how your code actually looks. Okay, so this is what it has done. Although you had declared it over here, it hoists the declaration over here. Okay, so that is why it executes. So here, what is the value? Value is what? Value is undefined. Okay, now the value is 2. So if you say console out at this moment, then you'll get 2. Okay, undefined and 2, right? So why did you get undefined here? Because it has hoisted just the just the declaration. It has not hoisted the assignment of value. Okay, that is not hoisted. So just remember this. So I'm saying here where, I'm not doing this here. Okay, so you're getting this, right? Now if instead of where, if I say let, then this hoisting doesn't happen in case of let. Let is a very ordinary keyword. It doesn't hoist and all do all those things. It does. Where is very special for JavaScript. That's why it does all these things for where. But for let and const, it says, nothing doing. I'm not doing anything extra for you. No hoisting will be done for you. So here, see, it will throw an exception. Where is the exception thrown? It is thrown on this line, on this very line. And what is the exception? The exception is I cannot access a before initialization. What is a? You have not even defined a. Now suppose you hadn't given anything over here, then also it would throw the same exception. It will say that, see, what is a? Please, I cannot use it before it is defined. Let me clear it. I don't know why that hover is not working. Over to show the error. But believe me, the error is this only. A is not defined. Okay. So if you use let a or const a, then also cannot access a before initialization. Sorry. Here it gives this error that cannot access a before initialization. If a is not defined only, then it says cannot use it before definition. I don't know why these different errors are shown, but basically what it means is it doesn't know what a is. Okay, it should speak in simple words. Actually, these errors are very complicated to understand. It should use simple English ideally. It should say what is a. That is when I would understand. It doesn't know what is a. Okay, so that is it. That is about variable hoisting. We took quite a lot of time for this. Anything left? Yeah, this slide is also left. Okay, let us see this slide. What does it say? Properties inside a const array or const object can be changed. So I told you that a constant cannot be changed, right? So if I say const pi is equal to 3.14, then after that I cannot say pi is equal to something else. I cannot say pi is equal to 2. It will throw an exception here, right? It will say assignment to const variable, and it is an error. See, assignment to a const variable. So this cannot be done. But let us say that this pi is equal to pi is some array of, let us say, 4 numbers, 1 2 3 4. Now if I say that pi of 0, that is the first number, should not be 1, it should be 10. So can I do that? Yes, I can do that. Okay, so although pi variable holds the reference to this array, and this reference cannot be changed because it's a const variable, but this array is basically what? It's an object. So all the properties of an object you can change. There is no problem. The object can be changed, but which object I'll refer to, that won't change. So here you cannot say, means this is possible, by the way, there's no issue. You cannot say that pi is equal to 10 2 3 4. I cannot say that because this is a different array. As soon as I say a different array, you're assigning it to pi. So pi is a constant variable. It will say no, I cannot. You cannot assign a different value to me. Okay, assignment to constant variable. Assignment to constant variable. So that's an error. But what I can do is I can say, okay, pi of 0 is 10. Pi of 1 is 20. I can do those things. That is possible. So that's what I have explained in this slide, that here I can change the fruits. Okay. Similarly, but this is not possible. You cannot assign an absolutely different array to fruits. Got the idea? Similarly, if p were if this constant variable were a object, then you cannot assign a different object to it, but you can always change the properties of that object. So here person.city is Pune, I can make it Mumbai, and then if I console it out, you'll get Mumbai, right? So you can change properties of the array, but you cannot assign an altogether different array to a uh, const object variable. Okay, by array I meant uh, object. So you can change the properties of an object, but you cannot assign an altogether different object to a const variable. Okay, this is not possible. Assignment to a constant variable. Got the idea? Lexical scoping we saw. Now let us get to the main topic, the most difficult topic of this video, and that is closure. So what is a closure? I'm just explaining it to you here in short. Many people call the closures like this with double parenthesis. Okay, two parentheses one after the other. So what it is like this. See, if this is an outer function, it has a variable called a, and then it has a inner function also, which is basically using that variable. Okay, now I'm calling the inner function, now I'm returning this inner function as a return value of this outer. Okay, so outer and first parenthesis, what it does, it gives you this inner. What is it? It is this function. And then when I say next parenthesis, then it means call this function. Now I'm calling this function from outside, right? So I should not have an access to this a variable, because this a variable is not the global not in the global context. It is in this outer context, means this first block scope. Okay, but it is still accessible to me. It still prints a. Why? Because whenever you return a function, the function alone doesn't return, it gets returned along with its lexical scope. Means whatever is the scope, whatever variables are accessible to it at that moment, they all get returned. So if that function is using any variable and it was accessible at that time, yeah, you will be able to access it over here as well. So let me check. A closure is a combination of the function bundled together, that is enclosed with references to its surrounding state, that is lexical environment. My bad, let me correct myself. What is closure here? Is outer function closure or inner function closure? So none of the two. The closure here is the inner function along with its lexical scope. This inner function alone is not a closure. This inner function along with all its lexical scope is called as a closure. So a closure is a combination of the function bundled together, that is enclosed, with references to its surrounding state, that is its lexical environment. Okay, so this inner function along with everything that it had access to, that is called as a closure. You cannot see it over here in the code. I'm just saying whatever got written, this inner function along with its lexical scope, that is called as closure. You cannot see it here. Okay, but this is how you define it in an interview. In other words, a closure gives you access to an outer function scope from an inner function, right? So what is the lexical environment of this inner? This lexical environment has this a as well, right? So you here outside in the global scope also, now you have access to a inner variable, the variable a, which is defined in the first block scope. Okay, now a closure is automatically created every time a function is declared. This is very important. How do you create a closure? Many people ask this question in India. How do you create a closure? So many people answer it this way only. Okay, you know, enclose one inner function into an outer function and then return the inner function. This is called as a closure. No, that's not a closure. And this is how you create a closure. No, that's not how you create the closure. But still, you can pass an interview with that answer, because many people do pass the interview with that answer. But if you really think, that's not closure. Closure is what? Closure is inner function along with its lexical environment, or you can say a lexical scope. Okay, so when does a closure get created? Well, whenever you create any function, it basically just creates a closure. Why? Because every time you create a function, On the global scope, there is the global context. One more context gets created, and that is the function context, or whatever is the block scope of that function, right? So as soon as that context gets created, that itself is a closure, right? So closure gets created as soon as you create any function. Okay, so what is happening here now? Closure got created here. Inner is one closure, outer is one closure. Okay, means when I say inner with its lexical environment is one closure, outer with its lexical environment is another closure. These are two closures. You are returning one of the two closures, and then you are calling it. Okay, so here basically there are two closures. How many closures are there in this code snippet? There are two closures. Every function in itself basically creates a closure. As soon as you declare a function, that creates a closure. So here there are two closures. You are returning one function. Actually, you are not returning the function alone. You are also returning its lexical environment. So what I can say here is I am not returning inner. Basically, I am returning the closure which got created when function inner got created. Okay. So in this example, the closure created while declaring inner function is returned by the outer function. I'm not returning inner function. I am returning the closure which got created while initializing this function, means while creating this function. Okay, got the idea? I know it's a difficult topic, but even if you remember 20% of it, then also you will pass the interview. Even wrong answers will get qualified, no problem at all. They will at least want to know that, okay, do you have some understanding about closures? Closures is such a deep topic that people can actually make a research on this. Okay, so you're not expected to know each and everything, but at least remember this example. Okay, even if you remember this example, if you're able to write it down on a pen, with pen and paper, then also the interviewer will consider it and you will pass the interview, because this is a difficult topic. Even if you know 20% of it, that's more than sufficient. You will pass the interview. Then we saw variable hoisting. Variables can't be redeclared unless you use var keyword. Okay, I told you this, right? If you say let a is equal to 2, you cannot say let a again. But in the case of var, you don't get an exception. Okay, why? Because whenever you say var a, it's basically getting created in the global context. And whenever you say var a again, that value gets replaced. It's as simple as that. Here also, if there's a var variable a, then you cannot say let a. That is not possible. Within the same scope, it's not possible. But if you do this inside curly braces, then it is possible. Then again, you cannot, if there's a let a variable, then you cannot say var a after that. Okay. So basically, redeclaration works only when you use var both the times. If you say var a here and then var a again, then it is possible. But you cannot use it when both are let, or one is var, another is let. Okay, you cannot do that. I guess that is it. These are the sources where I got all this information from. That brings us to the end of this lecture. Do let me know in the comment section if I'm going too deep, or do let me know how I can improve myself. Do you want the lectures to be smaller? Do you want more practical? What do you want? Just let me know in the comment section. The next video will be as per your comments. Okay, the next video I want to focus upon various JavaScript libraries, so it's going to be very, very interesting. I'll just give you an example of a library. I think AOS they call it, animation on scroll, animate on scroll. So many of you must be thinking that, okay, don't tell me basic things, give me a nice demonstration of JavaScript. So this is a nice demonstration of JavaScript. This is just a library which allows you to bring animation to whichever div you want, like this. Okay, so that is one library. There are so many other libraries also. So in the next lecture we'll see different libraries, and in the next lecture we will see different frameworks, or rather I can dedicate one lecture to each framework. Like for React, I can create one lecture, just an introduction to React. For Angular, I can create another lecture. So this is what we can do. in the upcoming lectures. You do let me know in the comment section what you want to learn. Okay. Until next time, this is Amit signing off. Jai Shri Ram. This is Amit Shirasao, and you're watching Coding.